Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining us on this edition of News 2. I'm Sandra Gumansing. Topping on Newscast, officials from the territory's correctional facilities testified before senators Tuesday on a bill designed to aid corrections officers. The Correctional Workers Safety Act of 2015 was proposed by Senators Kenneth Gittens and Novelle Francis, and it's on its way to the Rules and Judiciary Committee without opposition. News 2's Erica Parsons has the story.
Bill number 3-0130 has been approved.
Lawmakers from the Senate's Public Safety Committee voted unanimously in favor of the Correctional Workers Safety Act of 2015.
It is an act that really empowers law enforcement and empower the Bureau of Correctional Officers as well as the YRC officers to have an alternate force to deadly force.
That empowerment allows officers the ability to carry approved non-lethal weapons inside medium-level and higher security centers for both adult and juvenile facilities. It includes tools like tasers and batons and pepper spray.
It's crucial to the Department of Public Safety, law enforcement officers across the nation that you're allowed to have auxiliary tools on your belt, non-lethal weapons to avoid deaths, bodily harm.
Bill 31-130 amends the VI Code to add these sections. It also calls for the Bureau of Corrections and Human Services to provide secure storage areas and lockboxes for their employees licensed to carry guns.
We have seen situations where officers leave their weapons in their vehicles as well as in their home, and that has really presented a problem for them.
The bill passed the committee after 2 short rounds, though there were a few concerns, especially when youth rehab officers who were polled voted against carrying non-lethal weapons themselves.
They felt that, especially with the Youth Investigation Bureau, that they had some concerns about non-lethal force being used inside of the institution, but I think that they were really open to have the non-lethal weapons available to them in a secured environment, and then they could be assigned as necessary.
The only challenges are per each department, for each department to do the proper training for their officers and make sure that they understand what the ramifications are for illegal use of force or excessive use of force.
Erica Parsons, News 2.
In other news, Juan Luis Hospital is buckling up for the upcoming Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Service inspection due in a few weeks. The inspection comes after an extended systems improvement agreement between the hospital and CMS when the federal agency found the hospital in non-compliance with CMS guidelines. One senator checked on the hospital recently. News 2's April Knight has that story.
Senator Kurt Viale, chairman of the Health and Hospitals Committee, feels a little better after a meeting with Juan Luis executives on Monday.
We have met with the executive team about, I think this is the 3rd or 4th time for this year, and I am really trying to keep their feet to the fire. I want to accomplish it so bad. I don't know if you know how bad I want for our hospital to be certified.
The senator wanted to get an update on the hospital's progress in fulfilling the conditions of the systems improvement agreement with CMS.
In reference to CMS, meeting all the deficiencies, making sure that the upcoming visit that should take place within the next 3 to 4 weeks, that we are going to be successful.
CMS notified the hospital of pending decertification in September 2014 after a thorough inspection the month before. The federal agency found many discrepancies in various areas of the hospital's operation, including financial, medical, and management. Now, remember, last year in October, the hospital was given a 9-month extension, and now we're approaching the very end of that extension period. Now, this deadline is important because if the hospital fails, it's very likely it won't get another chance. Juan Luis CEO Kendall Griffith, however, has publicly stated that they're ready. Viale himself said he's seeing growth in the hospital's management. According to Viale, the goal is not just to dig JFL out of a deep hole, but even to make healthcare part of the attraction for visitors to the Virgin Islands.
Change the entire psyche about healthcare in the Virgin Islands. My goal is to have the health field become health tourism.
Reporting for News 2, I'm April Knight.
The upcoming CMS inspection of Juan Luis Hospital will likely be unannounced. News 2 will, however, keep you updated. Governor Kenneth Mapp is responding to claims from 2 St. Croix senators that his leadership and that of the Fire Services Director put the lives of St. Croix residents in jeopardy Monday when the 4 fire stations were temporarily closed. The stations were closed to hold an all-employee meeting. News 2's Erica Parsons has more.
On Monday night, Governor Mapp hosted the promotional ceremony for several firefighters, but before that on Monday afternoon, St. Croix's Fire Department came under fire for a decision to temporarily close the island's 4 stations Monday morning.
It was quite troubling and disheartening to learn of such poor management decision.
Senators Kenneth Gittens and Novell Francis called the decision to shut down irresponsible. Fire Services Director-designate Eugene Farrell responded in a statement saying the stations were not closed and units were ready to respond from the cardiac center where the meeting was held. Governor Kenneth Mapp said he was flabbergasted by the lawmakers' allegations.
I'm just concerned and tremendously disappointed that both of the senators heralded such an attack on me and the Fire Services Director for having a plenary sessions. Senator Gittens, Senator Francis, and I hail from the Virgin Islands Police Department, and throughout our careers, on more than one occasion, we have been summoned to plenary sessions by the Commissioner, the head of the Virgin Islands Police Department, where all police officers must attend. Fire vehicles and apparatus systems were there in the parking lot. Just as police officers, the persons who call for service dial 911, and by radio dispatch, units are dispatched out for services.
Director Farrell said a similar meeting was held Friday on St. Thomas. It's part of the governor's plan to meet with all departments in the executive branch.
This is one of his first trips out, and he intends to go ahead and meet with other agencies. And I must say that I'm glad that the Fire Service is the first agency that he came to meet with.
During Monday's meeting, firefighters raised concerns about raises, incentive pay, staffing, equipment, and other needs of the department. Erica Parsons, News 2.
The American Red Cross of the Virgin Islands installed 93 smoke detectors and delivered preparedness education last Saturday, July 25th and Sunday, July 26th to families in Cruz Bay and St. John as part of their home fire preparedness campaign. Again, with this nationwide campaign, the American Red Cross seeks to reduce deaths and injuries from home fires by as much as 25%. Throughout the campaign, ARC has received support from its own volunteers, along with community residents and volunteers from VI Fire Services and other organizations, delivered over 400 smoke alarms to families in St. Thomas, St. Croix, and now St. John. A highly anticipated program that is designed to train residents for jobs in the renewable energy field is now available on St. Croix. The North American Board of Certified Energy Practitioners entry-level photovoltaic program will be offered from 8 to 5 from August 17 to the 21st. Classes will be held at the Research and Technology Park on the Albert Sheen campus on St. Croix. The intensive one-week program provides a basic understanding that can be used as a basis, they say, for entry into the industry. For more information, you can call 693-1100. A course was recently held for St. Thomas, St. John, and St. Croix last week at UVI on energy auditing and building principles, and it was sponsored by the Virgin Islands Energy Office. The 5-day course, presented by South Face Energy Institute, which is a nonprofit leader in promoting sustainable homes, workplaces, and communities. Instructor Steve Hersley provided the knowledge and skills participants need to assess and improve existing homes. Coast Guard and Puerto Rico police rescue crews responding to a capsized 19-foot boat combined efforts to rescue 2 men and recover 2 women deceased, sadly, Sunday night just off the coast of Humacao, Puerto Rico. Coast Guard watchstanders in San Juan were initially notified of the incident at 6:48 Sunday by 911 emergency operator who relayed a report from a bystander at the Palmas del Mar Resort. The bystander reported seeing 2 people off the coast holding onto an object and waving their arms for assistance. Coast Guard watchstanders launched a Dolphin helicopter crew out of the Borinquen Agudilla and coordinated efforts with the Puerto Rico Emergency Management Agency and PR Police Joint Forces of Rapid Action Crews. They were also responding. The crew Marine unit arrived on scene and rescued the 2 men in the water while the Coast Guard helicopter deployed their rescue swimmer to the capsized vessel where the 2 female passengers were found deceased, reportedly wearing life jackets and entangled in the vessel's line. The rescue swimmer cut the lines, entangling the bodies of the women, and swam approximately 50 yards, pulling each of them to shore one at a time, where they were transferred to awaiting emergency response authorities ashore. Turn our attention back at home. Andrew F. Joseph, 36 years of age, was arrested and charged with third-degree burglary after being viewed and identified on surveillance video prying open a window to enter a business in the Royal Dane Mall. Bail was set at $25,000. On Saturday, July 25th, Malik Gabriel, 19, of Tampa, Florida, was arrested and charged with possession of an unlicensed firearm, brandishing, and exhibiting. Gabriel held a gun to a person's head at Limburg Bay Beach. Bail was set at $25,000. On Sunday, July 26, officers responded to the Schneider Hospital to meet with a victim who said while at Cokey Point Beach, he was attempting to kick a soccer ball that was kicked towards him. A suspect was behind him with a machete, and as he raised his foot to strike the ball, the person struck him on the foot, causing a laceration that required medical attention. Also on Sunday, July 26, officers responded to the Schneider Hospital. Again, a victim said while he was in the area of Lake's Chicken Fry in Smith Bay, he was assaulted by an individual with a machete, causing a laceration to his hand, requiring medical attention. On Monday, July 27th, members of the Criminal Investigation Bureau and the Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms Task Force executed a search warrant at the residence of Luis Raul Carino and recovered an AK-47 assault rifle, a 9mm pistol, and numerous quantities of ammunition. The 31-year-old was arrested and charged with unauthorized possession of a firearm. Bail for Carino was set at $50,000. Well, today, Governor Kenneth Mapp re-executed the executive order on marriage equality in the U.S. Virgin Islands. The executive order has now been attested to by Lieutenant Governor Potter. The order will now be forwarded to the 31st Legislature for their review. Virgin Islands law provides in pertinent part that any executive order issued by the governor shall be reviewed by the legislature within 15 days after issuance. The president of the legislature shall refer such executive order to the appropriate legislative committee to determine whether such executive order conflicts with any applicable law and for recommendations for appropriate legislation on the same subject of the executive order, if the legislature is in agreement with the provisions of said executive order. However, turn our attention overseas. U.S. Attorney General Loretta Lynch spoke obliquely on the death of Sandra Bland, whose death came after a heated encounter with a police officer during a traffic stop. Lynch said that Sandra Bland case is another example of why people of color distrust police. Lynch called it an epidemic, and she said it causes fear for community members and danger for the officers charged with their protection. She also said it's on one of her top priorities during her tenure as Attorney General. Keeping our eye on the economy, here's the New York Stock Exchange with our Stock Market Watch. As we can see, everything up. The Dow 189, NASDAQ 49, S&P 500 25. Coming up on News 2, it's the 25th anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act, the Virgin Islands Vocational Rehabilitation Program, and the State Rehabilitation Council did something a little different. They held a reenactment ceremony. Coming up. Welcome back. Governor Kenneth Mapp was named a member of the National Governors Association Economic Development and Commerce Committee by NGA Chair Utah Governor Gary Herbert and NGA Vice Chair Virginia Governor Terry McAuliffe. The Economic Development and Commerce Committee handles issues dealing with transportation, infrastructure, telecommunications, international trade promotion, financial services, regulation, science technology development, and affordable housing. Members of that committee ensure that the governor's views are represented in the shaping of federal policy. Founded in 1908, NGA is the collective voice of the nation's governors and one of Washington, D.C.'s most respected public policy organizations. The local community continues to observe the 25th anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act. They've held a series of activities this month, and the most recent one, held Friday, served as a remembrance of a momentous event in the lives of persons with disabilities across the nation. News 2's April Knight has more.
Stephanie Brown remembers the day in 1990 when she saw the actual signing of the Americans with Disabilities Act on television.
I was really happy about that. And I saw that on TV and they had closed captioning and I was so excited because finally I got to watch and understand the programming, understand what I was watching.
On Friday, Stephanie was able to relive that moment that signaled better lives for persons with disabilities. The signing of the ADA by then-President George H. Bush. The reenactment was part of the VI's month-long celebration of the 25th anniversary of the signing of that act.
I agree with you, Mr. Henley, that we have to publicize. We have to make sure that disabilities is not seen as a disadvantage, but that's just as a challenge.
Years later, a lot of work still needs to be done, like making government infrastructure, including sidewalks, more accessible to persons with disabilities. According to Stephanie, there should be more closed captioning and sign language interpreters for persons with language disabilities. ADA advocates also urge the territory to be more educated and sensitive of the plight of persons with disabilities, and for government leaders to put the money where their mouth is.
Individuals with disabilities are just that. They are individuals. They just happen to have a disability. Put the money into the programs so that we can fix the sidewalks, so that we can have accessibility in all government facilities.
Reporting for News 2, I'm April Knight.
In the role of President George H. Bush in that reenactment was Josette Smith, who is an active member of the ADA community. The Legislative Youth Advisory Council, chaired by President Shalia Todman, held their second town hall meeting to give youths an opportunity to express their ideas, opinions, and needs to the council at the Capitol building. That was held on Monday. Student representatives shared the issues that they are experiencing firsthand in the Virgin Islands school system, including the need for a public school on St. John and the effects of the lack of teachers. Collectively, LEAC members agreed that this town hall meeting was very resourceful and productive. Time for our summer fun segment. Can't get away for the summer but want to experience the seclusion of an island getaway. Something a little different from St. Thomas and Croix St. John. How about Water Island? Water Island does not have taxis, public transportation, gas stations, hotels, shops, or a main town. The Water Island ferry operates between the two islands docked in Crown Bay. Visitors on St. Thomas can easily day trip to Water Island. A laid-back vacation is what it will feel like. The small residential island is the smallest of the 4 USVI at just 491.5 acres. It is also the youngest, having been transferred to the local government in December 1996. It has a population of less than 200 people. There is a campground with eco cabins if interested, or you can just relax and have lunch on Honeymoon Beach, hike, take a bike tour, drive around in a golf cart, exploring the remains of military fortifications. Well, turning to the BVI, our neighbors, businesswoman and cultural ambassador Patsy Lake was honored during the opening of the Patsy Lake Festival in Roadtown last night for the BVI's 61st August Festival activities. And here are some other noteworthy events coming up. The Cultural Food Fair is on July 31st. Saturday, the car show and international explosion. Miss BVI will be held on Sunday, and then Monday, August 3rd, that's one of the big events, Rise and Shine Tramp at 4 a.m. and also on August 5th. Then Carrot Bay events, Thursday, August 6th, opening ceremony, Friday, Cultural Day, and Saturday, the continuation of Village Entertainment events, and on August 9th. Well, everyone wears clothes. This is what keeps the fashion industry busy. From models to designers, every age level has to be represented, and that was what was on tap for Fashionista on Sunday. Many local and stateside models and designers showed off some collections in the Fashion and Flair Showcase. Special guests included model Tico Armand. It was all part of the 4-day event that included a VIP party at Yacht Haven Grand, celebrity comedians Michael Collier and Rodney Perry with a comedy show that was held on Friday, and advanced hair educators of Bernays Academy on Saturday. More than 100 students tried their hand at sport fishing over the weekend on St. Thomas. Junior anglers 12 and under caught a variety of species from porcupine fish and yellowfin mohara to spiny lobster and a barracuda. The annual event was hosted by the Virgin Islands Game Fishing Club, and organizers say it's held to introduce children to the sport of fishing. Every fish that was caught was kept in a bucket of seawater until it could be weighed by officials from Fish and Wildlife. Afterwards, the anglers released their catch back into the sea. Dozens of prizes were awarded in 2 age categories for biggest and smallest fish and most fish caught. Be sure to stick around. Your News 2 AccuWeather forecast comes your way next.